All right, guys, what's going on? This is George from StreetCulture.US, and what am I doing right now? 370Z axle replacement. So where are we at with this? Well, these are the NVA axles from Z1 Motorsports. These are the hardware kits. We already spoke about these bolts being a little too long as compared to the stock bolts, and they actually protrude too far, so I'm not feeling comfy about those. However, the NVA axles seem to be pretty decent. I went ahead and installed one already. So as you can see, it's slid through. I went ahead and threw some grease inside there where the splines are at because it was looking pretty dry. And to eliminate the clicking that I keep hearing about. So it's kind of pulled back, tucked in there. There we go. So I'll just go ahead and tighten that down once I get the bolt and everything on there. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's go under the car and take a look. See, here we are. Here is the NVA. And this is what I was talking about. These are the OEM bolts. And you see it doesn't really protrude, but with the other bolts coming from Z1, they're too long and they come out about a ½ inch. And I'm not feeling froggy about that. So yeah, I just have it in place right now with a couple bolts. I'll go ahead and put some blue thread locker on there, just a little bit. And then on this side here, I still have not slid it in, but I've went ahead and I pre-greased the spline hole there with axle grease. So it's all ready to rock and roll. So yeah, that's where we're at. And I've just been kind of farting around on it today. I've been taking my time. I haven't really been going extra hard on it as far as really rushing to get it done. I have my time. It's a Saturday. And this job's really easy. That W brace, the W brace will probably come off in the fall, and the V brace that goes up under here. As I said in the last video, all this stuff is going to get replaced. I did get a gasket for the mid exhaust because the dealership, when they were working on this differential, they took the exhaust down, but they never replaced the bolt. And it was just hanging by one bolt, and I had no idea. So I was wondering why I was getting little drips of water, and that's because the gasket on there was not sealed up. And it was actually rubbing back and forth because it only had one bolt on it. And it wore the hell out of the gasket. So I got a new gasket, thanks O'Reilly's, and some new bolts. There we go. So yeah, other than that, I will clean up the exhaust system here, put the gasket back on, put that V brace back on. Another thing is when they were working on the car, they took off this V brace and they broke the head on here and they never said anything. I also found out, and this is again why I don't like techs at dealerships as opposed to having actual mechanics. They broke the head off of this where that V brace bolts up, and they didn't even bother to try and get it out. Luckily, I have a whole new bracket for both sides. And this W brace I found in aftermarket, so I'll probably replace that and have it powder coated. But this is the kind of shoddy work I'm talking about. If we go to that side over there, which I'm about to do, they also stripped out. So that side, they broke a head, and on this side, in the same location almost, they went ahead and they stripped this out and they just left it there hanging. So now I'm gonna have to get in there with the cutting disc and get right up in here and cut this off. Luckily, this bracket is also getting replaced. But yeah, it just goes to show this is the type of work that I don't like when I take my car into a dealership. I always seem to get it back in worse shape than I dropped it off, and it just irritates me. Little things make all the difference. This, for example, is the new disc. They would not do this spray painting with the caliper paint on the head of the rotor. They wouldn't do that. They just throw on the regular rotor on there, and then after it sits outside or the weather hits it, it'll start to rust and it'll look like shit through your wheels. So what I do is quality work, and I treat my car the way I would like anyone to treat my car. Treat things like you would like to treat other people's stuff, or what's that golden rule? Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Same thing goes with cars, guys. Cars are an extension of who we are. Each design that we pick out, or the type of car we pick out, is a reflection of our personality. So, and I'm very meticulous about this. So yeah, if you come up here to the front, Here's the front. You can see here it's even nicer. The caliper and the rotor, I touched up the caliper with any of the chips, and then the rotor here, again, with the caliper paint, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Because this would actually, if you didn't take care of it, guys, this would turn brown with that terrible rust color. And not only that, it makes the car look like shit. I mean, it makes the car look like it's not taken care of, like it's a less expensive car, or it's a lesser grade car. And this is a 370Z, guys. This is the Z34. What's Nissan's top two cars? The GT-R 35 and the Z34. And now they have, I don't know what they call the new Z, the Z35, but it's one of their premier sports cars. So this isn't a Nissan Sentra. It's not a Toyota Corolla. It's not a Honda Fit. It's a 370Z, and she should be treated as such. So, plus this car, being 11 years old, is in great shape. It's not in bad shape at all for its age. We got 100 grand on it, and even on the inside, guys, this is how I like to take care of my stuff. After 11 years, the car is damn near spotless. Minus nicks and a few things like that. That just goes, hey, you want to play, you got to pay. And this car, we have definitely played with it, being on the Gumball Rally, the Savage Rally, through the mountains and all that stuff, Blue Ridge, Tail of the Dragon, you name it. This car, we have done it, and it's been a lot of fun. So she's earned her place to get the treatment that she deserves. And yeah, maintenance. So full brakes, CV axles, and in the fall, guys, we're going to be doing this whole back end. This whole back end is coming down and out. We're going to treat everything, clean it up, put all fresh components back in, and upgraded components from Z1 Motorsports and Concept Z. Thank you, guys. But yeah, it will be all cleaned up, and then we'll tackle the front end. And then, of course, the car is getting repainted, so it'll be fully freshened up. And it'll be pretty much riding better than not what it was when I bought it and from the factory. So yeah, that being said, guys, take care of your cars, because they're going to take care of you. And you know, with all the joy that we have in them, and as much as they do for us, the least we could do is give back a little bit on them. And they deserve to be treated with respect and the proper treatment that they're entitled to. So yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm just thinking about things right now, and I'm kind of a little distracted, but I'm just trying to get everything back together on this. And I know I'm not doing it totally the way I'd like to. These NV axles, although they are in great shape and all that stuff, if I was putting these back in and they were exposed like this, I would paint this with the caliper. I'd tape it off on here too, and caliper paint the shit out of all this and these assemblies. But because these axles are really only going to be on until the fall, and then the car will probably go away for the winter, I don't really mind so much, because when we do this rear end, that's when it really counts. And these axles are just temporary axles until I either buy the OEM ones or the drive shaft shop axles. So yeah, it's a labor of love. You have to enjoy it. And I like going fast. I like going on the rallies. I like driving in the mountains. I like spirited driving, if you will. But at the same time, I like to take care of my shit the best I can. And yeah, I like to put the attention to detail and the extra little bits in. That V-brace that I was talking about, here's that V-brace. And this will also be replaced. I'll either get a new one or I'll have this one blasted and powder coated. Most likely I'll just get a new one, and then I'll have that powder coated. But yeah, it's gonna be cleaned up. And this is your Stillen exhaust. There's the two Stillen canisters on the back. It's been on there for a decade, so it's seen better days. And although it's in still decent shape, it's time to replace this whole unit, as well as the portion from the cats. And we're gonna go with Burke straight through test pipes, or Burke high flow catalytic converters, which I'm thinking probably the high flow catalytic converters, to avoid that nasty Nissan rasp that makes your exhaust sound cheap. Right now, this Stillen exhaust, the reason I like it so much is it has more of a grunt. It doesn't have that raspy or poppy sound. This has a deeper sound, and it's more mellow. It's great on the expressway, and once you open it up, that's when it really shines. But for the most part, it doesn't have that drone. It's really enjoyable. So, and it gives it that deeper tone that I think the 370, it sounds more serious. The car is a little bit more serious sounding, as opposed to, not to knock the sound of other 370Zs, but it sounds poppy and raspy, and then it just sounds kiddie. Whereas this sounds deeper, it sounds more mature, it sounds more refined. Honestly, I love the Stillen exhaust, and I'm gonna replace it with Stillen exhaust. So that's the plan. And yeah, that'll really complete everything on the car, at least on the suspension and bottom end. We'll clean everything up. And then once it's repainted, this car will be looking really, really good. Again, I mean, it still looks good, if you ask me, but little things like chips from the rallies, chips from daily driving. You can see the dots, like there's a dot, there's some more dots up in here, and that's from the dealership because one of their techs spilt brake fluid on there, or power steering fluid, whatever it was, and it splattered and it just made a mess of things. So ultimately though, the car looks good for its age. Actually looks really damn good. I get people who ask, you know, how old it is, and I say 11 years, and they just can't believe it. So she's in pretty good shape for her age, and we want to keep it that way. So proper maintenance and care are needed to keep your cars up. So that being said, guys, I'm going to get back to it. And after I'm done, I'll do one more video to show the final product, if you will, of everything put back together and cleaned up. So keep watching for part 3 as we do the CV Axles from Z1 Motorsports on this 370Z. Keep watching.